So if you are a business leader and you're looking for ways to find productivity increases in your team, you might be on a hiring freeze, you might have laid off folks, and you're looking for that productivity increase of your staff that you have today. Modern Requirements is going to be that tool to help you get there.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Shihan Fernando. He's the Vice President at Modern Requirements. Shihan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kelsey. Nice chatting with you again. I'm just happy to jump on a call with you.
Yeah, great to see you. Great to see you. So, Shihan, why don't you start and tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, I spent most of my career in financial services, great experience, whether it be at RBC and a longer stint at Sun Life. And then during COVID, I had the itch. I'm like, you know what? Tech is kind of the place I want to be. I want to do something different. And I found myself at Infotech Research Group, which is the fastest growing research firm in the world. So if you've heard of Gartner or Forrester, you should be looking at Infotech. Great organization. Through that experience, I was building out an engaged team, helped build out some onboarding, established in a team of great salespeople, great relationship managers, and they're to the day doing really well. But through that experience and my experience at Sun Life and Infotech, I met with Asif Sharif, the current CEO of Modern Requirements, and him and I really worked well together. So I found myself moving on from Infotech to join Asif to lead his sales function at Modern Requirements.
That's fantastic. So sounds like you've had a really interesting journey to bring yourself to Modern Requirements. Tell me, what was the draw about Modern Requirements? What does Modern Requirements do?
Well, Modern Requirements has been ranked number one, both for features and functionality through Infotech's research, but also ranked number one for emotional footprint, meaning how they treat their clients. So when you see a company who's perennially doing well from their client's perspective, and you have a CEO who is very product innovation focused, I thought, wow, if I can help them grow and scale, and I filled a bit of a gap in their overall organization. So I thought this is going to be a great hand in glove experience. So ultimately, when you think of requirements management, it's not really a sexy topic, but it's one of those topics that need to be addressed in any kind of development or any kind of organization. For the reason that if you don't have very clearly articulated requirements, how is your project going to run? How do you measure success? How do you iterate and evolve if you don't have your requirements documented and versioned and baseline in a means that people can go back and say, oh yeah, we did look at that and that didn't work out, or for improvement. So it's a critical function for business, whether it be in high tech or not. So I figured, hey, this is going to be relatively AI proof.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, it's critical for business success. Number three, it's a great product, great leadership team. And lastly, they treat their clients with respect. And I think when you put all those things together, it's fertile ground for success. And I want to be a part of that story.
That's fantastic. I think that's great. So, it sounds like there's a lot of integrations that work with Modern Requirements, rather that Modern Requirements works to do. Walk me through some of those features. How do you start off, talking to someone who may not know what Modern Requirements does?
Okay. So there's two things. If an organization is using Azure DevOps, Modern Requirements is the only natively built requirements management tool for Azure DevOps, meaning if you want to be able to do trace matrices with a couple of clicks, as opposed to having a very extensive Excel sheet, you can do that through Modern Requirements. If you have business requirements documents that your BAs are copying and pasting into Word and wasting time doing that and not really productive, you can use Modern Requirements to help automate all that and build out templates. So now throughout your organization, you have consistency. One of the biggest challenges I've been hearing from clients in my last couple of months being here is that once they produce a business requirement document, a BRD, by the time they are using it as an artifact, in real life, things have changed. So it's almost impossible keeping those documents up to date. Whereas by using modern requirements, you're dealing with it in Azure DevOps natively, allowing you to look at real-time information. So it really takes the documentation and the traceability as problems and as manual labor out completely. So ultimately, when you think of modern requirements, think of it as a productivity tool for your project teams, whether it be testers, quality, BAs, requirements engineers, and even from a project management perspective, having a clearer sight line from requirements authoring all the way through to review, sign off, the actual document, versioning, and then as you manage, how you can update things in a meaningful way. So if you run projects in your organization, whether it be development focused or not, modern requirements is going to be a great tool for you.
And I'm hearing you talk about, obviously the tech focus of the different industries that, modern requirements works best with. But I also imagine that like there are other different industries that modern requirements really, works well with as well. Talk to me a little bit about what those may be, because I think I have an idea, maybe like the healthcare industries. Talk to me a little bit about kind of the different industries that modern requirements works well in.
Yeah. So right at the gates, SaaS companies are obviously continuously iterating, their products are iterating, and having a really clean requirements management tool to help support that is obviously what modern requirements does best. Now, if you take a look at financial services, we have several big banks globally that are clients of ours to help manage some of the development processes internally. Manufacturing companies now we're bringing on, specifically in the medical device space. We have many clients who are using modern requirements for the reason that our e-signature on sign-off is FDA approved. So when there's a lot of compliance and rigor around your process on requirements and how you're going through about testing and quality, modern requirements is a solution for them. What's really exciting that's happening in the next couple of weeks is that we have two big updates happening for modern requirements. The first one being Copilot for DevOps, which is a OpenAI ChatGPT integration that will actually help you create requirements, have it read and help you clarify your requirements, build test cases for you, which it already does today, but do it better using OpenAI. So that's happening in the next couple of weeks, towards the end of June, early July. And in terms of spaces, we're getting really into the manufacturing area for the reason that we have version package management and variant package management coming out in August, which all of our medical device companies who are using us, but also in automotive and other manufacturing areas are really excited about, because if you think about it, think of your phone. You have we'll say an iPhone 14 as an example, right? There's going to be different versions of that within the 14, but then there's going to be a 15 and different versions of that. How do you track all the requirements that are going into each one of those phones? And those iterations, how do you understand what those changes are and how to manage it? Well, by having a requirements management tool that does that for you, that's smart, it'll help your project management teams and your product development teams stay on top of things. So that's really what we're really excited about in the time to come. So any SaaS company, financial services, manufacturing, generally speaking, we have a bunch of government clients. I'd love to say the names because they're big, but I probably can't without checking if you have NDAs. Having said that, they too are having very robust, requirements management needs, and so they use modern requirements as well.
I think that's really fascinating. So, talking about these different integrations, these different industries, what would you say would be the biggest way that modern requirements is really able to stand out from its competition?
That's a good question. Well, a lot of folks are using the Microsoft suite of software. And if you're using Azure, and you're using Azure DevOps, there only really is one option. So, and if you're not using modern requirements, you're pretty unproductive. If you use modern requirements, it's unbelievable. 100% of the demos that I've sat on that folks are using ADO who don't have modern requirements are scratching their head and be like, why aren't we using modern requirements? And I mean this very honestly. to the point where we've actually started looking at clients who don't use Azure DevOps at all. They just like our tool because it's smart docs, because our diagramming, because of our trace analysis, for the way we handle reviews and sign off, all in a single source of truth.
Yeah.
So some folks are buying modern requirements and after the fact using Azure DevOps as their database and server. So it's kind of happening the other way because our tool is so sexy.
Yeah.
So going back to your question, so we are not the biggest kid on the block. I mean, there's the Jamas and the IBM Doors of the world and the Polarians of the world. But what makes us really unique is that we've embraced AI. We've embraced the fact that we have this very close relationship with Microsoft. Actually, on that note, Microsoft and us are doing a co-branded video come end of June, July, talking about how you are using OpenAI in this application. So what really makes us unique is that we do it well. Mm-hmm. We have great integrations to any kind of Microsoft tool that you're currently using. Mm-hmm. And the way we've designed our tool and the user interface is very familiar for anyone who's ever used Microsoft. So the adoption is quick. So if you are a business leader and you're looking for ways to find productivity increases in your team, you might be on a hiring freeze, you might have laid off folks, and you're looking for that productivity increase of your staff that you have today, Modern Requirements is going to be that tool to help you get there. So that's really who we're looking at, and that's who we're really find value in what we do.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And, I'm curious, you've got years of experience, within the industry. I imagine that there is a lot of misinformation out there. I can think kind of just on the answer that you gave, talking about Azure, people not being as productive as they could be because, Modern Requirements is 100% is capitalizing on the market. So, is that kind of one of the common misconceptions or pieces of misinformation that you hear often, that people should just be almost complacent or just accept Azure DevOps for what it is without necessarily taking it to that next level?
Well, the interesting thing about requirements management is that folks will grow up in the organization using what they've always been taught how to use. They'll use Excel, they'll use Word, they'll use Visio to do some diagramming. They're doing all this cutting and pasting. And because that's what they're used to, there's a reluctance to change. Mm-hmm. But the moment you see the tool or even play with the tool, you find, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't been using this.
Yeah.
So the impetus to change, and given everything that's happening with AI, given the fact that we got to do more with potentially less people, given tighter budgets because of the macroeconomic situation we're faced with, it is a time to look at what productivity tools are available to my staff, and how do I do more with less? If you look at the cost of licenses for Modern Requirements and then compare it to potentially FTE, right, full-time employees, you could do more with less with a tighter budget by using Modern Requirements. So
well, Shihan, this has been a great conversation. Is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with before we head out, either about Modern Requirements, about your experience in sales, and in the industry? Anything you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah. So on June 7th, we're having a webinar to kind of pre-launch Drip, our Copilot for DevOps.
Yeah.
It's going to be very exciting. We have a lot of people going to be joining that. But if someone's interested on how Copilot could be deployed for DevOps, that's the thing to keep in mind. As we move into the summer, so June, July, August, it's going to be a busy season for us here at Modern Requirements. We have a new UI that's going to be more user-friendly than it is today. Copilot for DevOps, our variant and version package management that's coming out in August. So we have a lot of things, exciting updates to our program, and ultimately they're all going to drive productivity. So that's what you should keep your eyes out for. And I look to potentially have more conversations with you and potentially have more conversations with our clients that we can have in this format. So I'm looking forward to getting out there, meeting more people, and having these sorts of conversations on how we can increase productivity in this space.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, obviously watching you expand in your role currently, as vice president, and also to, where you can take your clients in the world of, building on Modern Requirements and all the different great things that you guys are doing in several different mediums. So I appreciate, being on Business Ninjas today and watching the journey with you guys.
Thank you, Kelsey, and I look forward to continuing our conversations as well. So let's stay close.